Hello and welcome. You're watching Agenda with me, Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, and today we come to you from Gurgaon. This is the Beer Cafe here, and we're trying to discuss app companies, app-based cab companies, Uber Quick, but are they really safe? Today is a day when the CEO of Uber internationally, a co-founder, was pressurized, forced by his investors to finally quit his job. Why? Because he apparently and allegedly did not take prominent action against many of those who were involved in sexual assault cases. Also, his personal involvement in several of these cases has been questioned. Remember, this is not the first time heads have rolled in Uber, but for the very first time, internationally, the top boss has had to quit his job. Last year, a couple of years back, in fact, 2014, is when a massive rape case, an Uber case in which a girl was assaulted. She fell asleep inside traveling in an Uber car, and the driver took advantage of the situation. He was finally taken, to task, and the law took its own course. Even then, the top Uber officials here in India were fired. So are the cab-based companies really not learning the lesson? Do they continue to put the onus back on the driver? Is that really how India will function? Today on the panel, we've got the Gurgaon CP. Thank you so much for joining with us. Several other officers, ACPs, women officers here on the program. We've also got a very special guest, Ayushi. Ayushi is somebody who went through a traumatic experience a couple of years back. She was just 21 when traveling in a cab. She had a driver assaulted her. She was traumatized, and she's still trying to pursue that case. We have other guests on the panel as well, but let me first go across to Ayushi. Ayushi, if you can hear me, tell us what exactly happened 2 years back.
Yes.
You were 21, just 21 at that point. What exactly happened when you took that Uber?
I had to go to my friend's place in Gurgaon, and I thought that I'd take a cab because it was too late to go in the metro and then change into an auto. So I took a cab from Rajouri Garden where I work, and then on the way he was really nice to me. But then somewhere close to Dhaula Kuan, it felt as if his intentions are not right. So I thought of stopping the car. I asked him to stop the car, and I sat in front. The whole idea was that if he gets more people in, I did not want to be crushed inside. So I went and I sat in front. In case he does something,
you wanted to be closer to the handbrake, just in case of emergency.
Yes. A lot of people, a lot of people call me stupid for doing something like that. But then I really felt that I'm more unsafe at the back. So on the way, he kept on talking. We also lost our way. And then because I was sitting in front, when we reached our destination finally, he asked if I would mind shaking hands. So I offered my hand, and we shook hands, and then he did not let go. He kissed me on my hand, and when I tried to pull it a little, he pulled me with more force, and he tried to kiss me. I had to push him. I picked my bags and I left.
When you left that day, did you follow it up with a complaint? Did you file a complaint with Uber?
I was very scared, and I was, it felt as if I'm trying to self-realize and introspect if it was my fault, if I was leading him on. That is what basically happens when something like that happens to you. But I was just sitting, I was quiet, and my friends they noticed something wrong about my behavior. So they asked me what happened. So I told them that the cab driver tried to kiss me. So they encouraged me to file a complaint. So I looked up for their contact number, and then I realized Uber does not have a contact number if you want to file a complaint, or if you want to talk to someone if you're in trouble. So I sent them a mail through my app. I filed a complaint against the driver. I got a very mechanical, a very technical reward from Uber saying that we're really sorry, and we'd like to improve on whatever we did, and please give us another chance, which does not make sense. It was more sensitive than that. It was 12 o'clock, and I was a 21-year-old.
All right. Yeah, so 2 years have passed, Ayushi. My last question before I let you go today. 2 years have passed since. In these 2 years, have you stopped taking cabs anymore? Do you still take it? And what is further happening on this case now?
Further, I still take cabs, but then I make sure that I have company. I try and not take it alone, and also I try and not take it late at night alone. I avoid it. I try and avoid it. And it's been 2 years.
All right.
I've
And
gone
no
for
follow-up
hearings and
from
everything.
Uber?
I haven't seen my lawyer. No follow-up from Uber, and even for the lawyers that I'm supposed to be provided with by the government does not appear on my hearing. So the driver has a lawyer, but I do not, and I'm answering the questions alone, and I'm standing there alone. It does not make sense. The cops have given my phone number and my address to the driver's family. Does not make sense.
To the driver's family?
Yeah, because you know how, like, as in you're not allowed to meet the victim. Like, as in I went for my statement for the first time, and the cops, like one of the cops, they asked me, like, as in they asked me to just talk with the family if that's fine and everything. And I was really scared because I didn't think if it's ethical, because I'm already going through a lot, and then.
All right, thank you, Ayushi, for sharing all that. It pretty much sums up what a woman today who's been assaulted, in a cab ride goes through. First, no number to call up immediately, and then later follow-ups and internal, they just go on to be re-victimized by these people. I've got several people here. I want to just get testimonies first. You're also a woman who travels with auto and Ola and Uber very often. Tell me what happened.
I work as a professor in a university, and I was traveling back to my university from my place in Gurgaon, and the driver took a wrong turn. I simply inquired that why you are taking a wrong turn, and he simply said that, madam, I leave you at such a place where there will be no drop of water also. So
he threatened you?
He threatened me. So I simply, shouted at him, and thankfully it was a busy road because I was traveling during the daytime. He stopped, I got down, and then I took an auto. I also lodged a complaint to the cab service, but I got a response just apologizing. So in such cases, I feel SOS alerts, emergency panic buttons also go in vain.
They go in vain. I think the common idea that is coming out of here, and I want to bring in Anna also, who's just joined us on this as well, that, panic buttons, these drivers whose complaints are now being registered by several girls like these. I also had a personal experience. I'll talk about that a little later. But these drivers continue to be on the roads. Even now as we speak, after the driver who tried to kiss Ayushi, she's just 21, is still on the road today. The one who tried to threaten her and say that, I'll take you to a place where there'll not be even a drop of water, is still on the road.
I think that, first of all, it's very important not to make this only about Uber and Ola. It's about an entire system that allows men to sexually assault women, and they do it with a confidence that the system will not harm them, the system will not punish them. And because the police are here, I must say, what is the point? What does a woman do? Do you stop taking Uber and Ola? No. I have only in recent months started using these cab services, and I realize how much it frees you up. A good public transport system, whether it's taxis or the metro, it frees you up as a woman. It gives you freedom. It gives me the freedom to not use my car right now because I don't want to. But a few years ago, when nothing to do with Ola or Uber, I had a certain personal problem. There was a neighbor who was scratching up my car, all right? And I knew I was being targeted because I was a single woman staying on my own. And I went to the police, and there was no action. And then I got an ACP's number from a friend. he said, I'll try and do something, but you know, madam, it's difficult.
It's
then
basically not a priority. It's just not a priority.
I got a higher-ups number. He said, madam, I'll try and do something. And this is all Gurgaon, and I'm saying it to all of you because you're sitting over here. He said, I'll try and do something, but nothing happened. Finally, there was a cop who was sent to our house. He tells me things like, madam, what can I do? The person who's troubling you is not at home when I come to visit him. Are you so stupid that you as a police person are being bullied by someone who is misbehaving with a woman?
I'll take that question to the CP, but I also want to focus on the thing that, you know, the program that we're doing today, I'm trying to understand, is there, apart from the onus being on police, does the onus also lie with these cab companies? I mean, if I can read out the legal cases, the documents that are out on the websites of Uber and Ola, they say very clearly that it is not our responsibility if something untoward happens during the ride. They also say it is not our responsibility if you lose something or any kind of misbehavior that is taking place. They have washed off their hands completely. What can the police do in a case like this?
Look, firstly, this Ayushi's experience was very traumatic, and I can understand what a young girl the poor girl has gone through. And so I'll just take Anna's question, her suggestion also. Now, there are a couple of things. As far as these app cabs are concerned, there's some things that we need to put in place. I think the legal framework also has to evolve. Things like the disclaimers that they put in place, they need to go away. They need to go away like yesterday. And we should have small things like all drivers should be verified. No app cab should be allowed to just wash its hands.
But who will take the responsibility of verification? Because that's the grey area. Even during the Uber case in 2014, the one which is, many are saying one of the factors why the CEO was, you know, let off even today, this morning, it was a grey area. The Uber came out to say that it's not my responsibility. The badges are given by the government. They should have gone ahead. The transport department should have checked those.
No, the company should not be allowed to wash their hands of this responsibility. Legal framework, if it has to evolve, it should be done in double quick time. And the drivers should definitely get verified. And because there's a brand, you're trusting a brand, and whatever the name of the company is, and so quality of service has to, whatever it entails, has to be assured by that brand, the company which is carrying that brand name.
But sir, taking you know, a cue from Anna's question as well, in a present scenario, as of today, Uber and Ola will not take responsibility. If I just want to talk about it. So a couple of days back, I was taking an Uber back from a railway station with my mother at 11:30 at night with bag and baggage. My driver just decided to stop the car there and said that, madam, I will not go to Gurgaon. He left us on the road at 11:30 at night. At that moment, what can a woman do on the streets of the national capital? Or NCR for that matter? What can they do?
Look, first of all, let me...
Because as she pointed out, panic buttons, others do not work. You need immediate help at that moment.
Look, as I can speak of Gurugram Police and Haryana Police, we have deployed a women's helpline that is fairly active, and we respond in very quick time. I'm sure Delhi also has a similar number which they respond to. Please be aware of what are the recourses available to you. You should be firstly aware of these things. Now, I'll come back to the cars. Like we mentioned, verification of the vehicles. We should have GPS devices installed in the vehicle. I know that the driver carries a smartphone which...
but that can just be switched off.
No, smartphone, but...
That can just be switched off.
I'm telling you, what I'm trying to suggest is that a GPS device which is vandal proof, which should be the responsibility of the company which is deploying that driver. It should be vandal proofed and installed inside a car where it cannot be easily removed. Secondly, things like...
Sir, before you move on, I just quickly want to ask you, if these cab drivers, once they get the verification, do they come to you directly for verification? Or if tomorrow there is a case, will you hold Ola or Uber responsible? Will they be part of the case since you are going to be the one filing the complaint? Or will you let them off and it will only and solely be the responsibility of the driver?
Look, I can't answer a hypothetical question. Every case will depend on its own merits. There could be cases in which the companies, the app cabs could be held individually liable for the lapse. So I can't preempt the situation unless it has come up. But coming back to the point, what I was suggesting was things like I think probably you mentioned or the lady mentioned, we should have things, or Ayushi mentioned that, we should have things like the child lock. which should be disabled for such vehicles. Because if a girl is seated at the back and if she needs to get out quickly, child lock should be got disabled by the company which is deploying that car as a...
That's a good point. That's something that Ayushi also mentioned. That's precisely the reason she went in the front seat, a navigation seat of the car. I also have a studio guest with me. Shamina Shafiq is sitting in the Delhi studios. Ma'am, I want to understand from you. You've heard the ordeal of Ayushi, and there are several such girls on the streets of national capital who continue to face this sort of harassment every day, every hour. While Anna mentions very clearly it's a necessity, it's a way to free women, it's also become a huge security hazard. What can we do at the moment?
See, I might sound very depressed, but the matter of fact remains, looking into the scenario, present scenario, wherein so many women have been kidnapped, raped in moving cabs. I think the first and the foremost thing that women and girls need to do is actually ensure that whichever cab they are taking, they click a picture of the number plate and they save themselves, somehow give that signal to the driver that I have the number and I have sent it to my parents or whosoever, my family. Although it sounds very impractical, because normally when we get into a cab, we hop into a cab, we are in the middle of 10 things and we don't even remember that we need to do this. But because the police is washing off its responsibility all throughout, we need to do this.
There's a track ride device, there's a track ride option on the Ola cabs, and since I use it very regularly, I can tell you it's there. You can send it to people, but the question is again, by the time it reaches the tragedy or the mishap has already happened, what does a woman do then? But hold that note, ma'am. I want you to, hold your thought there. I'm going to slip into a quick break. On the other side, we'll take these questions. Can technology really answer these questions of women's safety? Is that really how it's going to happen? Or are we going to have to make more stringent laws to make these companies culpable? On the other side, agenda, there's more.